It's been known for a long time that there is an association between high blood pressure in midlife and development of certainly dementia and possibly Alzheimer's disease in later life. And I think the very reasonable assumption has been that that hypertension in midlife is doing something, thickening vessel walls, possibly impeding clearance of amyloid beta, doing something which increases the likelihood that you're going to develop Alzheimer pathology later on. And that may well be the case, but we've been exploring the converse possibility. We know that, for example, if people have narrowing of the blood vessels which supply blood to the kidney, the body responds by increasing perfusion pressure and increasing blood pressure to restore blood flow through the kidney. Or if people have got spasm and narrowing of arteries through the lungs in primary pulmonary hypertension, the body responds by increasing the perfusion pressure through the pulmonary circulation to restore blood flow through the lung. And so we wondered whether, to some extent, the development of hypertension in midlife might be a consequence of the earliest changes of Alzheimer's disease in the brain rather than a cause. And we know that in Alzheimer's disease, as I've mentioned earlier, including in familial forms, there is reduced blood flow through the brain, which raises the possibility that maybe increased vascular resistance within the brain. We've done several studies showing that some mediators of vasoconstriction, like endothelin-1 and angiotensin-2, are really very markedly upregulated from quite an early stage in Alzheimer's disease, and they're upregulated by amyloid beta, possibly because in addition to mediating vasoconstriction, they help to break down amyloid beta, so as the amount of substrate increases, you tend to upregulate enzyme pathways. And so what we've shown is that amyloid accumulation is associated with reduction in blood flow, reduction in oxygenation, but also increased production of these compounds these peptides that produce vasoconstriction. And so we've shown recently that in an animal model, if you raise the concentration of amyloid beta peptide within the brain tissue, this produces peripheral hypertension. It reduces blood flow through the brain and produces peripheral hypertension. So it's possible that the midlife hypertension, rather than increasing the risk of Alzheimer's disease, is a marker of the early accumulation of amyloid in the brain. That's not to say it might also have adverse effects on the vasculature and other things which increase risk, but at least partly we suspect it's a marker.